Hi, you all. Happy Monday. For your ELA morning work, you are going to be working on using context clues to find the meaning of words. So that means that you're going to be reading the paragraphs that have the bolded words in them. And you're going to be paying really close attention to any clues the author gives you about the meaning of the word. Sometimes it'll be in the same sentence as the word. Sometimes it'll be in the sentence right before or the sentence right after. If you're unable to figure out the meaning of the word using context clues, then go to Tools and Dictionary, and you can type in the word and look for the meaning that way. The definition. A lot of words have more than one meaning, so read all of the definitions and decide which one makes the most sense as the word is used in the sentence. Then choose the correct definition, ABC, and write that letter in the box. For synonyms and antonyms, remember synonyms means the same or nearly the same, and antonyms mean the opposite. Okay, for Multiplication Monday, you're going to be dipping your toes in some division. It says emperor penguins are 3 times taller than fairy penguins. According to this data, if an emperor penguin were 24 inches tall, how tall would the fairy penguin be? So because they gave us a division sign, we are starting with the largest number. Because in division, you take the largest number and you split it or divide it into equal groups. So the only other number that they had given us was 3. It says 3 times taller. Now be very careful when you hear the word times, because times can refer to multiplication, but it can also refer to division. So for this equation, it is 24 divided by 3. There are a couple ways you can solve this that you already know. You can do the inverse. So you can flip it into a multiplication problem. What times 3 equals 24? So if you know your facts pretty well, or you're pretty good at counting by 3, count by 3s until you get to 24 and see how many times that took you. Or off to the side here, I made 3 equal groups and then 24 dots. And what you do is you move 1 dot into each circle, or one at a time, I should say, until all 24 dots have been used. You need to make sure that you're giving them out equally. If you do not give them out equally, your answer will not be correct. Division is all about equal groups. Oh, it looks like that third one didn't want to go. So I know sometimes the technology is wonky, but there we go. So you just keep going until all of these dots are gone and each group has the same number of dots. Then the number of dots within a group, not 24, but the number within one of the circles, because all of them will have the same amount, is the answer. Okay, for the hats, 3 of these have a product of 24. So which 3 hats have a product of 24? For true and false, you're going to write what 4 times 10 is, here where the question mark is. So it's just a text box. And once you figure out what 4 times 10 is, you're going to write that product there. Remember, you can count by 10 4 times. You can count by 4 10 times, figure out the product. Then, this looks confusing, but all it's telling you to do is work out the multiplication problem inside the parentheses and then add those 2 answers together. So what's 2 times 10? Write it where the question mark is. And then once you figure out this 2 times 10, they're the same. So both question marks will have the same product. Then you're going to add those 2 numbers together and see if they equal the same number you got for 4 times 10. If they're the same, you're going to write true. If they're not the same, you're going to write false. But remember to add those 2 question marks together because there's a plus sign between the parentheses, which means that you'll multiply first, find the products, then add the products together. Okay, so we are focusing on the same book as last week, but we are going to take it a step further and start really honing in on character traits. Character traits can be inferred by analyzing, that means by really thinking hard about a character's feelings, dialogue, actions, and thoughts. So feelings are how they felt about something. Dialogue is what they say out loud. So in a story, they'll use quotation marks. Actions, what the character does, and thoughts, what the character's thinking or wondering. Sometimes it's an inner dialogue, which means they don't say it out loud, but it's kind of like they're talking to someone. Those are all thoughts. You have 4 text boxes, these colored text boxes. You're going to read the text boxes and decide, was this one about a person's feelings? Was this one dialogue? Was this one an action? Was this one a thought? There's one for each of the boxes, and you're going to drag and drop it in the correct one. After you've done that, you're going to choose the character trait, bossy, devious, lazy, and creative, that goes with that box. So for example, when Seth saw a pile of junk, a feeling of excitement bubbled up inside him. He couldn't wait to begin building the object he was imagining. So pay attention to the words and decide if that belongs in feelings, dialogue, actions, or thoughts. Then decide, is Seth bossy, devious, lazy, or creative? If you're not sure about what one of these words means, don't forget you can go to Tools and Dictionary and look up that word. Even if you, which I hope you did, listen to Finding Winnie last week, listen to it again so it's really fresh in your head, because you are going to be paying close attention to Henry Colburn, the main character in the story. I want you to pay attention to his actions, things he does, his feelings, his thoughts, and his dialogue, what he says out loud. I made a little note section, so while you're listening to it, as you hear him say something out loud to somebody, dialogue, you can write it down. If there's something he thinks in his head, which there are 3 times in the story where he has the same thought. So if you figure that out, if you pay really close attention, write that thought down. Write down how you think he feels. Look at the illustrations, the look on his face during different parts of the story, and different things that he does. The reason I want you to make sure you're taking notes is it's going to make these last 2 slides a lot easier. So you're going to write one action, one thought, one thing he says out loud, and one feeling he has at any time of the story. And you're going to think about him as a character. Think about his personality. And you're going to decide, what character trait would you use to describe him? I put a character trait anchor chart over here to the left. So at the very top, it has the kind of, I'm looking for the correct word and I've lost it. The primary words like nice, mean, sad. Do not use the underlined word. Use a synonym underneath it, because you're in 3rd grade now, and I don't want to hear that you think somebody is nice. No 4-letter words in 3rd grade. Helpful, friendly, kind-hearted, compassionate, those are words that we need to be working on. So make sure when you pick a word, you are not picking the underlined primary word. You are picking one of the synonyms underneath it. And make sure it goes with what you have, the examples from the story you have for him. So if you have examples that show him being mean, then your trait shouldn't be nice. It shouldn't be a synonym for nice. And if you have examples of him being nice, or well, I should say helpful or friendly or kind-hearted, then your trait should be a positive trait, not a negative trait. So just pay really close attention to what you choose about him and the trait that goes with those findings. Okay, the last thing you're going to do is you are going to talk about the actions in the story and how they contribute to the story. So how did the actions of Henry Colburn contribute to the sequence of the story? If he didn't do the things that he did, Winnie the Pooh, as we know it, would never have existed. So over here to the side, I have an example. In the beginning, so in this box right here, Henry buys a baby black bear from a bear trapper because he feared she would be killed. This action shows Henry is... So I left that blank because I wanted you to come up with a character trait of your choice that describes Henry. So notice in the box, your sentence should include the action, him buying the black bear, the feeling, he feared she would be killed, and then a character trait, which I left this one blank because I didn't want to give you the entire full answer for the beginning. So that is the first major action of Henry Colburn. What happened in the middle? I gave you a hint. When it was time for the soldiers to go to war, what was his action? What did he do for Winnie? And then what action does he do at the end? So I want you to make sure you are focusing on the action, how that action made him feel or why he did it. What did he feel in order to choose to do that action? And how does that describe him as a character? What does that tell you about his personality? All right, you all. I hope you have a great Monday, and I will see you again next week.